Hey, what's happening guys? Tim here. Let's get going with another Metallica guitar lesson. Today we're going to be learning how to play Metal Militia on guitar. This is a really fun tune off their album Kill 'Em All, and we're going to be covering every note in detail. So subscribe if you want to learn every single Metallica song ever recorded, as well as a lot of other songs from your favorite bands, all with complete and accurate tab. Now let's get going with this Metal Militia guitar lesson. The opening intro riff is a 4-bar repeating phrase, and we get into that with a little pickup. We slide into a B flat chord, so the 6th and the 8th frets on the E and A strings. And start way down as low as you can go on the 1st and 3rd frets and F, and slide into that B flat. And then just hold it a little bit, and then we're going to do 3 power chords. Repeat that B flat, down a half step to A on the 5th fret, and then down a whole step to G on the 3rd fret. And then we get into our repeating phrase. Okay, so we need to be thinking 16th notes here. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and Okay, that's where the cool rhythm comes from, is getting these power chords on an upstroke. So we're gonna do an up and a down there. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and, all palm muting on the low E, and then an upstroke on the G on the 3rd fret, and then do a downstroke on the A on the 5th fret. Repeat the rhythm. But now we're gonna do a B flat on that upstroke on the 6th fret, down to an A again on the 5th fret. The 3rd measure is the exact same as the 1st measure. And then our 4th measure changes a little bit. We're only going to do 2 beats of 16th notes, 1E and a 2E and then quarter note triplets. We repeat those 3 chords that we came in with on the pickup. B flat on the 6th fret, A on the 5th fret, and G on the 3rd fret. And then it just repeats. And then we play that 4 times. On the 4th time, we double up the quarter note triplets. We play them twice and then come back to an A, let that ring for 3 beats, and then I use my pinky, but you could use any finger that feels comfortable, but slide up to the 12th fret A and down, and that's gonna get us into our verse riff. The verse is another 4-bar repeating riff. If you've studied Phantom Lord, then you'll recognize that this is the exact same rhythmic figure as the chorus of that song. So if you've studied that, then you'll be in good shape for this, and if you haven't yet, then this is going to prepare you for that song. So what we do is we're going to be playing notes along the D string, and then just putting palm muted A's in between. So palm mute an A to start with, and then the 7th fret of the D string, palm mute an A, the 5th fret, palm mute an A, the 2nd fret, palm mute an A, the 1st fret, and then open D. So all those frets were along the open D. Okay, now we have to get the picking right. Now, contrary to what a lot of people think, Metallica don't always use exclusive down picks for everything. And this is one of those riffs where they do use some alternate picking. So let's get that right. So what we want to do is go down, down for the first 2 notes, and then up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Okay, that's how they play it. Live, James Hetfield actually gets rid of a couple of the palm muted A's. I imagine he's just making it easier for himself to play and sing it at the same time. You know, he's got to play it pretty well night after night all the time, so he's going to make it a little easier on himself. But on the album, both guitars are definitely doing the same rhythmic figure. So get that alternate picking in there and you'll sound just like the album, and play it 3 times, that measure just like that. And then we get into the 4th measure of the riff, which is, okay, quarter note triplets. We come up to the D and the G strings, frets 1 and 3. Bring that down to the A and the D strings, frets 1 and 3. And up to the 3rd fret, C. And now put a palm mute on as we come down to the G on the 3rd fret of the low string. Up to the A power chord. And then take the palm mute off as we stab an E flat. Okay, so we're actually doing a little hop there up to the 6th and 8th frets of the A and D strings. And then we can repeat it. So let's do the pre-chorus and the chorus all together in one big section, because the pre-chorus is pretty short and easy, and the chorus we've already covered it because it's the exact same riff that we played in the intro, just up a string set. So the pre-chorus is often mistranscribed, which is kind of surprising because it's fairly simple. But what we're going to do is start with a D power chord on the 5th fret of the A string. We hold that for a measure. Come down to the 3rd fret. And then a couple of quarter note triplets here. We go B on the 2nd fret, and then palm mute 2 A's. Okay, so the first 2 measures. Come back up to start the 3rd measure on a D. And then the 4th measure is coming down to a C again. And then this time our quarter note triplets change. We go B, C, B. So 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. So the whole pre-chorus. And then we get into our chorus, which, like I said, is the exact same thing that we did in the intro. So if you don't need to hear me go through this again, feel free to skip to the next section. But if you need a little extra working on this, then repetition is what's going to really make it sink in. So let's go over it super quick for you. So once again, we're going to be chugging 16ths, this time on the A string though, instead of the E. 1 E ended, 2 E ended, 3 E and A. So we've got those almost 3 beats of straight 16th notes with that final 16th, an upstroke on the C, the 3rd fret of the A string, and then a downstroke moving up a whole step to the 5th fret D. Repeat that rhythm. This time though, we're just going to start on the 6th fret, with that would be the upstroke. Going down to the 5th fret. The 3rd measure is the same as the 1st measure. Then our last measure, 2 beats of 16th notes, 1 E ended, 2 E enda, and then we're going to do a little walk down there, the 6th fret, 5th fret, and the 3rd fret. And then we replay that 4 times. The 4th time, we double up those quarter note triplets and end on a D. And then we can get back into our repeat. Now let's cover the rhythm that's going to be underneath the solo. The rhythm under the solo, again, we don't need to talk too much about this. It's the exact same rhythm that we've already encountered in the intro and again in the chorus. This time we're transposing it to B minor. So it's a little tougher to play because we're not chugging on an open string. So we have to do a little bit more hopping around here. But I played it the way James Hetfield plays it. He always chugs on that B on the 7th fret of the low string with his first finger. So we start with that 7th fret on the low string, good at nice palm mute on it. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and okay, so that upstroke is going to be on the 5th fret of the A string, the D power chord. Sliding it up a whole step to E with a down. And then on our second measure, it's going to be F to E, 8 to 7. Okay, that third measure is the same as our first one. And our fourth and final measure is 1 E and a 2 E and a on the B, and followed by our quarter note triplets. Okay, so we're coming down from an F on the 8th fret to an E on the 7th fret to a D on the 5th fret. Okay, and the fourth time, again, like as in the previous 2 times that this riff has come up, we double up those quarter note triplets and end on an E on the 7th fret this time. And then we're going to start our interlude bridge section that comes next on an A power chord stab. Here we go with that. This interlude section is probably the toughest riff in the whole track just due to the amount of jumping around that you have to do. It might take you a while to really nail this, but nice on the picking hand, it's almost all downstrokes. There's only one quick upstroke in every measure, but let's get to that. So we start with A power chord stab, and then we wait 2 whole measures, and then we just do 2 measures of straight 16ths on an open A string, just palm muting it. All right, so that'd be 2 measures straight 16ths. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And then we get into our riff. And the riff starts off the exact same as the 4th measure of the verse. Okay, so we've already encountered that sequence of power chords. We start with an E flat on the 1st fret of the D string. And then we come down to the 1st fret of the A string, up to the 3rd fret. Okay? Now you want to get a quick up in there before you shift your fingers down to the bottom string. So we're going to shift from the 3rd fret power chord, the C, down to the G on the bottom string, but we're going to go get a quick up in there as you do it. Down, 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 up, down. Okay, and then when you hit that, you want to get a heavy palm mute on here. Okay, so we're going to do a G on the 3rd fret, up to the 5th fret A, all the way down to the 1st fret F. Okay? And that is our rhythmic figure that repeats the whole way through this section. We play it 4 times exactly like that. Okay, 4 times like that, and then we skip up and play the exact same sequence except starting on the 3rd fret of the D string. So okay, so we're just transposing this up. We start from on the 3rd fret of the D string, down to the 3rd fret of the A string, up a whole step to the 5th fret. Get a quick up in there as we skip our fingers down to the 5th fret of the low string, and again, get a heavy palm mute on those last 3 power chords. So that would be A on the 5th fret, B on the 7th fret, all the way down to G on the 3rd fret. And we play that another 4 times. And then we start going up chromatically. We play the same figure off of the 4th fret. So 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, 4. And play it twice off of there, and then come up 1 more half step to the 5th fret. and play it twice off of the 5th fret. So it'd be 5, 5, 7, 7, 9, 5. Okay, now played like that is 12 repetitions of the same rhythmic figure, right? We do 4 starting off of that 1st fret, then 4 off of the 3rd fret, then 2 and 2. So 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2, that's 12 repetitions. And I thought it was kind of curious that live, they actually don't do it this way anymore. I don't really see why they would have changed it, but they did. So live, they actually go 4 repetitions off of the 1st fret, just like they did on the album. But then instead of going 4 up on the 3rd fret, they go 2 and 2. 2 off of the 2nd, 2 off of the 3rd, 2 and 2. So live, they still do 12 repetitions, but they've just done it true chromatic fashion all the way up rather than 4, 4, 2, 2. So I kind of thought that was interesting why they changed that live, but that's how they do it live now. Just a tidbit. Now, after you've done those 12 repetitions, we do a double picked scale run. Okay, and if you take note of your last repetition of that chromatic little interlude section, we're ending on this A power chord, which sets us up nice for this scale run. Our pinky is already where we need to be. So you just double pick that note, down to the 5th fret, down to the 8th fret on the low string, 7, and then do a 5, 7, 8 on the low string. Okay? Keep a palm mute on all of these notes. And now after that, we go 8, 7, 5 on the low string, down to 3, and then 2, 3, 5, E power chord. Okay, nice and slow, that whole rundown. And there you go, there's all the rhythm parts. We can do lead now. We get into the solo with a 3-beat pickup that he plays a triplet figure over. And I see this measure mistranscribed a lot, but all that he was going for was moving a fingering pattern down chromatically. Okay, so we're putting our 1st finger on the 9th fret of the D string, 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the G string, and 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the B string. And then we're just going to slide that down, and one more time. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. On the recording, the 4th note in is a little bit flubby, so I could see that could throw some people and why it might be mistranscribed a lot, but that's all he was going for, was just... Okay, and then we move our 1st finger up to the 8th fret of the high string, and our 2nd finger down to the 9th fret. And now we want to bend them, but just slightly, like hardly even a quarter step. It's just a very slight bend. And then we release slow and shake them, okay? And then we get into our next little lick, which is a pentatonic pull-off thing that he likes to do so much. So start on the 7th fret with an upstroke, okay? You want to get that upstroke to begin with to keep your picking hand proper. And then we do a 10 to 7 pull-off on that high string. Go down to B, 10th fret. Back up to the 7th fret on the high string. Do a 10 to 7 pull-off again. Down to the B string, 10 to 7 pull-off. Pick that 7th fret twice more. Another 10 to 7 pull-off. Come down to the G string, 9 to 7 pull off, 9 on the D string, back up to 7 on the G string, repeat the 9 to 7 pull off on the G string, down to 9 on the D string, back up to the G string 7, repeat the 9 to 7 on the G string one more time. Then come down to the D string and do 2 9 to 7 pull offs, down to 9 on the A string, back up to the D string 7, 9 to 7 pull off, then down to 9 on the A string, 7 on the A string, 5, 7 to 5 pull off, down to the 7th fret on the low string, and then hit the 5th fret on the A string again. Okay, so nice and slow, that little lick. Okay, getting into our next lick, it's gonna sound like this. Okay, that's our next measure. So we start on the low string, 5 to 7 hammer, 2 picks on the 5th fret of the A string, do a 7 to 9 slide, 2 picks on the 7th fret of the D string, and then 9 to 7 pull off, down to the A string, 9th fret, 7 to 9 on the D string, 7 to 9 on the G string. Next measure. Okay, so we're gonna start with a 9 to 7 pull off on the G string, down to 9 on the D string, 7 on the G string. We wanna bend the G string 9th fret, and then up to 7 on the B string, pull off from 10 to 7, come up to the high string 10 to 7, back to the B string 10 to 7 pull off. Now, this goes by pretty fast, and he only hits a half step bend here to nail that same pitch on the 10th fret. Okay, and so you want to do a little half step bend on the 9th fret. Back up to the 7th fret on the B string, pull off from 10 to 7, 10 to 7 pull off on the high string, 10 to 7 pull off on the B string. There's that little half step bend again. Back up to the 7th fret on the B string, 10 to 7 pull off. Now 9, 7 on the G string, palm mute as we hit the 9th fret on the D string, and then we want to bend the 9th fret on the G string, except you're gonna have to experiment where to put that pinch harmonic. You wanna add the flesh of your thumb so that when you hit that string, it's gonna give you that pinch harmonic. And then 2 more bends on the 9th fret. And then just do a slide. I just use my first finger to grab the B and the G strings and just do a slide just to create that whoop sound. So those 4 measures put together nice and slow will sound like this. Now our next lick, we're climbing up the high string. What we're really doing is climbing up using the B minor scale, right? This solo is in B minor. So we've just laid out the B minor scale along the high string and we're climbing up using that. So let's just map out that B minor scale. We're really climbing up on, starting on the frets 7 and 9, and then we're gonna hit, so that's B and C sharp, the first 2 notes of the scale, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and then we're gonna end by bending the D up a whole step to E. Okay, so there's our B minor scale that we're targeting. And we're picking 16th notes all the way up. 1 E ended, 2 E ended, 3 E ended, and so on. You just wanna hit a new note of the scale for every downbeat. 1 E ended, 2 E ended, 3 E ended, 4 E ended, and so on. Now, okay, so I'll explain through this so that it's simple, but once you get it up to speed, you don't have to specifically hit these frets the exact same. Really, all that you're targeting is that first note of every beat as we work our way up the scale, and then your first finger is just going to kind of drag along in time as you climb up the scale. So if you accidentally hit a note outside the scale as you get this up to speed, then it's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be anyways. It's supposed to kind of have that little sound of chaos going on, right? So all that you want to do is go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so on. The important thing there is to get the shift right. You always shift with your first finger. Okay? Okay, so we end that lick by bending the 22nd fret up 5 times. And the 5th time, you want to get a 1.5 step bend, so really overbend it. And then do a 19, 22 to 19 hammer and pull. And then we get into the last little bit of the solo, which is probably the toughest bit of the solo. He's doing a fast repeating pentatonic thing that he likes to do so much. It's very, synonymous with his style. So what we're going to do is start this fast bit by double picking the 19th fret. And then we do a 22nd to 19 pull off, down to 22 on the B string, up to 19 on the high string, 22 to 19 pull off again. Come down to the B string, 22 to 19 pull off. And bend the 19th fret a half step again. So this is going really fast. We're going to be doing a lot of bending on this 21st fret, and you don't have to specifically get a whole step bend or a half step bend every time. Really, you're just going for a quick little inflection every time you hit it. It's going by so fast that you can't really be specific with a whole step or a half step bend, but just give it a little nudge every time you come down to it. Okay, so after you do that little half step bend, come back up to the B string, 19, 22 to 19 pull off. Now, he does this in this solo where he gets a little hammer pull super quick. We hit the 19th fret and hammer onto the 19th fret and pull off to the 19th. Okay, so it's a 19, 22, 19, really quick hammer pull. Come back down to the B string, 22 to 19 pull off. Then bend that 21st fret again. Back up to the B string, 19, 22 to 19. And then our little hammer pull again on that 19 and 22nd frets on the high string. Come back down to the B string, 22 to 19, pull off. Double pick the 19th fret. 22 to 19, pull off again. Now bend that 21st fret again. 19 on the B string, 22 to 19. Okay, so before we get any further, there's two measures. Let's just play that really slow so that you see how that's going to sound. Okay, getting into our last two measures, we come back down, bend the 21st fret again on the G string, back to the B string, 19, 22 to 19, pull off, do our little hammer pull super quick on the 19 and 22nd frets again. On the high string, back down to the B string, 22 to 19, bend that 21st fret again, back up to the B string, 19, 22 to 19, pull off, hammer pull super quick again on that high string, down to 22 to 19, pull off. And then our last and final measure, bend the 21st fret, 19 to 22 to back to 19, pull off on the B string, and repeat that. So bend the 21st fret again, 19 on the B string, 22 to 19, pull off. And then we're going to bend the 22nd fret on the B string 6 times. Okay, there's our solo. The last 4 measures, that whole last phrase, nice and slow, is going to sound like this. Thanks so much, guys, for checking out this Metallica guitar lesson. You now know how to play every lick and riff in Metal Militia. To make it easy for you, I've put a link in the description of every Metallica tutorial that I've done so far, so make sure you check those out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that so that you don't miss any of your favorite songs with complete and accurate tab. Let me know what else you want to learn, and I'll see you next time.